Welcome to the Sensory Empower podcast. I'm Bethany, your host. I'm a holistic occupational therapist with over a decade of experience in supporting individuals helping to transform their world through sensory empowerment. This podcast is your guide to the transformative world of sensory storytelling, holistic tools, and empowerment strategies. Welcome to the Sensory Empower podcast. I'm Bethany, your host, and today I am so excited. This is episode 20 of season 1, and I just wanted to have a reflection conversation because it has been such a beautiful and very wonderful experience as a new host hosting a podcast. Of just the things that I've learned, the things that I'm so excited to still learn and share in season 2, and just have a moment of gratitude and reflection on this beautiful journey. So in season 1, there have been some really lovely kind of personal insights that I have had of being able to have so many reflections of the power of holistic tools, and being able to interview current clients, previous clients, as well as some other wonderful clinicians, OTs that are in the space of holistic supports. Something that I'm just so deeply grateful and honored for is the time that all of those people have spent to join and come share their stories and share their reflections and the growth that they have received through working with me through Sensory Empower, if that's through the membership or one-on-one work or using the Safe and Sound therapeutic listening program that I love and have really, really had some cool opportunities to continue to dive into and learn even more about how different practitioners might be using the SSP and how I have personally had a lot of powerful shifts in my own nervous system using the Safe and Sound protocol. So the Safe and Sound protocol is a really beautiful therapeutic listening program. This is 5 hours of listening. It's broken out into 10 listening sessions. And I just had a beautiful intake to review the behind the scenes of what Safe and Sound looks like, and had a really cool opportunity to really highlight the power of how individualized this is. Yes, we are putting on headphones and listening to filtered music, but it is so much more than that. It is a beautiful ability for us to learn our nervous system responses, and we go with the flow of our body and our own nervous system. And I think that has been the moment of such joy to see and receive feedback. So see my clients and their shifts and their nervous systems, lots and lots of insight and testimony about decreased auditory sensitivities, just decreased reactions or slower response and more interoceptive cues of being able to have that beautiful heart rate awareness or that tight muscle awareness. Oops, something is shifting. I'm shifting maybe more into that sympathetic or that fight-flight mode where our body is charged. I've been using the term charged nervous system lately, and how we can have just feedback from our body to allow this beautiful insight. Our body is so wise. I think throughout this whole episodes that I've gone through where I've done a lot of reflection and teaching on nervous system responses and different sensory profiles or sensory sensitivities and sensory seekers, and having that beautiful insight of how all of it connects and how beautifully wise our body is, and how we can really listen in and tap into the power of those cues through nervous system regulation, which allows us to slow down. We get to slow down our thinking, slowing down our quick responses, slowing down impulsivity, and really tap in and be very attuned to what our body is needing. Some other just conversations with individuals have been about how intuitive our body is and how it already just can sometimes do the things that it needs, right? So if we're starting to get overwhelmed, we may catch ourselves having moments where we're kind of squeezing our arms and already instinctually providing ourselves deep pressure. As I kind of go through and learn even more about brain gym, there's a lot of acupressure points and a lot of brain gym techniques that are used, such as like this ear roll, right? There's so many acupressure points on our ears that can help with grounding. And those are things that I would instinctually do. And as I chat with clients, they're like, oh, that's a thing. Like, I already have like kind of done that, but now I know the behind the scenes. Like, now I know more and more about why my body intuitively maybe jumped into doing an ear roll or rubbing our neck or kind of stroking and kind of pushing against our body. Well, that's vagal toning. Our system is so intuitive in knowing, and we just instinctually know to start to do those things that help with vagal toning and help us relax. And we might take those big those big sighs out, those big long extended exhales, which are so grounding and help us move back into that calm, regulated rest and digest parasympathetic state. So I've just really enjoyed this. It is truly a journey of being able to have those opportunities to hear stories and hear these powerful sensory shares and the insights and reflections of clients that I support. And it's been just, highlighting such amazing moments of nervous system responses and how attuned we can become when we start to become more regulated and slow down. So I think those are just some big, huge wins that I wanted to highlight in this solo episode of episode 20. When I think about growing as a host and inviting such diverse guests from lots of different backgrounds and being able to learn about human design and how it can relate to sensory processing and how we can think about EFT tapping and how we can use the power of tapping and our ability to move through, how we can think about supporting our nervous system, and if we're dysregulated, and how everything can kind of be very, very overwhelming. So I've had the opportunity to have Meg from Whole Being OT, where we can kind of dive into sensory needs related to human design. So if you haven't seen Meg's work, please reach out to Meg. She's a wonderful holistic OT. And had the opportunity to interview Alex from The Confident Parent. So we talked a lot about insights with supporting overwhelmed parents who might be sensory sensitive and might have that different sensory profile than their children. I got the opportunity to interview Michelle Joy, who is an ecstatic dance, somatic release, and supports a lot with like manifestation using EFTs. We kind of talked about the transformative power of dance and somatic release and how we can really connect with our bodies and start to release energetically. I had the opportunity to invite Liz Brown, who has a YouTube podcast, Getting Found with Liz Brown Podcast. And she's a previous client, so we got to share about the work that we've been able to do together and sensory education and how empowering it's been for family dynamics of understanding those themes, those moments of reflection, and how work together in a coaching program has been supportive for her understanding her nervous system needs and her children's nervous system needs. I've had the opportunity to interview a very dear friend, Sally Basil, who has gone through a whole year in the Safe and Sound therapeutic listening, as well as the membership program. So we've been working together for a whole year in different capacities, and she's been such a beautiful asset to the membership group coaching program that I have. That is called the Sensory Self-Care Membership. And we meet every month on Zoom, and Sally has been such a beautiful soul to just hear her beautiful transformation. And then this Friday, Episode number 19. I have another wonderful occupational therapist and good friend, Allison Hunt, and we have a really beautiful conversation about the power of the Safe and Sound protocol and somatic release techniques and how deeply powerful the Safe and Sound protocol can be to help us release from a body system, nervous system level, things that have been really stuck in our bodies, and how much of a shift with safety and moving into that calm state and bringing in play, right? We've got to be regulated to bring in play. So that was a really fun conversation that is coming out on Friday, the 30th of August. So those are some beautiful, just kind of like guest shares and like a recap of all of the wonderful opportunities to interview. I have had just such a beautiful learning opportunity of being a host and getting to interview and having the practice of kind of flowing in between conversations and questions and working on that kind of the natural pauses with the ability to shift in. And I, have a lot of reflections of my own interoceptive cues, especially at the start when I was like really first getting going with interviewing guests, and how it's like so much ease now, right? So it's like a delight to kind of see and reflect on my interoceptive cues and really how these themes of what I'm sharing have resonated so deeply with my own internal reflections of the things that I use daily. I use on a daily basis for my ability to move into a calm state and a regulated state. I yesterday actually had a big nervous system response, and I used all my tools. I was not immediate first, but second responder to a big, pretty intense car accident. And there were two people in extreme shock, having a lot of big responses. And there were some sharp things. There was some blood. It was an overwhelming experience. And I know in those times of heightened focus action mode to be able to be a support person to help co-regulate someone who has been in a horrible car accident, is going in and out of consciousness, having pain, but is in shock still, and we're waiting for EMS. So this was an ability for me to have a very powerful role as a regulated human approaching a very dysregulated human who's just gone through something very traumatic. And I mean, I'm getting goosebumps because that was yesterday. And it was I think a very powerful testament to the tools that I have so actively strived to learn and now get to teach. And the opportunity to be able to hold space for someone in such a state as still stuck in the car and bleeding and going in and out of consciousness and having dizziness and lots of confusion and lots of hyperventilation and lots of big nervous system responses. As a bystander, however, I think there was more than just bystanding. I was right there. My ability to tap into my nervous system, focus on breath as I was running across to go support. First aid kit in hand, Girl Scout prepared, running across there and ready. I checked myself before I walked up to the car. So I paused, I squeezed my feet in my shoes, I kind of pushed my hands together, I kind of gave myself like a big squeeze. I took many deep breaths yesterday throughout this big experience. And I also had this, it was an intense experience for all involved, of course. And it was very deeply powerful to see community coming together. There were multiple people who stopped, multiple people got out, multiple people were calling. It was just we're all in this. We have got this. We are solving the problems. What do you need? I got it. What do you need? I got it. And it was very insightful to have a reflection on those that were in like action mode in crisis and those that were in freeze mode in crisis. So even some of the bystanders, freeze mode had taken over their body, and even like asking a few questions or them needing to maybe move right when EMS came through and needed to get a gurney out and everything. It was a deep reflection of my own nervous system response, and that was action. And in my life, there have been 3 opportunities to be some of the first responders to a very intense car accident. And in those moments, my brain, in such a powerful way, is able to focus in and take those powerful actions. I'm able to activate and mobilize what is the next step. So I have enough of my frontal lobe engaged to know, okay, gloves are on, there's blood. All right, check, safety. All right, we've got gauze, we need pressure, we need some water. Do you have water? All right, got it. We've got, okay, safety. We've got antifreeze on the ground. What's the next step? And I have these moments of almost like metacognition in those moments of thinking about my thinking, of in the present thinking, gosh, we are all coming together to help solve all of these problems. There's a truck that pulled up and had a tow strap, moved one of the cars out of the way so the emergency vehicles could come in and park in this really weird median where the whole accident happened. And just the amount of bystanders that stopped. Some of them were like, okay, you guys got it. Okay, I need to leave. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Please do what your nervous system needs and your schedule needs. We are here. We've got this. I had no time frame, so I stayed until we had everyone kind of set and ready. The things that I reflect about, the things that did raise my heart rate a little bit, was those that had flipped into fight mode. And those were cars that were maybe late for things. And there was someone that honked and sped off and was yelling. And I was like, what? What are you doing? And another one of the bystanders, because that is kind of an intense response to a group of people and to very hurt people and all of the providers that were there at the scene at that point in time. Yes, of course there is going to be traffic. People are hurt. Like, that's the end, right? People are hurt. Yes, there will be a slowdown. And there was an individual who got very charged and flipped into fight mode herself as a response to fight mode, passing by in a car, honking and yelling. And I just, again, in this state of like eagle vision awareness, of like a deep like gratitude of my nervous system to maintain this calm state of arousal, to be able to like, yes, correct, that was wrong. That was wrong, but here's our focus. Here's our focus. Everyone's got all the things. We've got the purse. Everything's getting going. People are safe. People are going to the emergency room to have medical care. And I was able to take a break. I did get in my car and I did release a few tears though, because that was a really intense experience. And I just deeply reflect about how my body was able to maintain such a calm composure. And it is a deep testament to the tools that I use. And it is a deep testament to the tools that I teach. And I love supporting my clients in those nervous system regulation, holistic tools like breath work and grounding techniques and EFT tapping and the use of the Safe and Sound protocol to support and nourish your systems. So I just felt like, since that was yesterday, I've had a lot of reflections of what it means to be grounded, especially in an intense moment. So I came home, ate a nourishing meal, took a hot shower, used some essential oils, did some tapping, did some grounding, and had a really lovely evening. I felt like I needed to have a little bit more like calming tea to help my system calm down and regulate. But I was able to get some wonderful sleep last night. And even though the visuals were very intense yesterday in that experience, I know that I'm okay. And I know that everything is okay. And the power of community reigns through as this beautiful, deep gratitude of humanity coming together. And yes, there were moments of reflecting of some charged nervous systems, like the honker driving by a crash and being like, ah! I was like, whoa. There were some jarring moments to many nervous systems yesterday. But as I look ahead and have beautiful reflections, I just have a beautiful moment of gratitude and awe of the ability to use and share the powerful tools that can help us remain regulated and engaged and support. So I just want to express gratitude. I am so excited for season 2. We've got new guests and different topics and some exciting developments. And until then, I am just really encouraging you to tap into your system and thinking about your heart rate. And I just thank you so much for being a part of this community, being here, sharing the episodes, listening. If you have any feedback or any requests of topics in the future, please reach out and email me at bethany@sensoryempowered.com. And I just want to, share that I'm available and I would love to hear your insights, comments on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. I also am very excited to continue to share the opportunities for individuals interested in the Safe and Sound protocol with a standalone Safe and Sound listening program that has 2 consult calls, including the assessments. So if that is something that has been a calling, know that I am here and I would love to jump on a call and review that with you. And I'm just so excited for season 2. So I'm going to take a little pause, recoup my system, finish up season 1 and getting excited for season 2. And I just want to thank you all for being here and listening and supporting through season 1. Your support means the world. And I can't wait for this journey ahead. Stay tuned for season 2. It's going to be amazing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me on this sensory adventure through Sensory Empower, the podcast. Remember, empowerment begins with awakening your senses. Subscribe now and embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Until next time, may your senses guide you towards a life filled with peace, joy, and empowerment. Because true empowerment begins with embracing your senses.